Today I'll read you the chapter Close Embrace versus Open Embrace from my book The Black and White of Argentine Tango, both sides of tango's greatest debates. The purpose of the book is to present both sides as honestly as possible without taking sides. You get the black, you get the white, and then you choose what shade of gray you want to use. Let's start. Close embrace versus open embrace. Ask 10 tango dancers what real tango feels like, and most of them will mention the embrace. Not the steps, not the music, not the footwork, the embrace. It is where tango lives for most people, and it is also where one of the dance's oldest and most personal debates plays out. Close embrace or open embrace? For some, this is a practical question about mechanics and movement possibilities. For others, it goes much deeper than that. It touches on what connection means, what tradition actually was, and what each person is really looking for when they walk onto a milonga floor. Close embrace. There's a moment in close embrace tango that is hard to describe to someone who has never felt it. The music starts, the embrace settles, and suddenly you are not two separate people anymore. You are one thing, moving together, breathing together, listening to the same music through the same body. It feels, as some dancers say, like home. That feeling is not an accident. It comes from the physical reality of chest-to-chest contact, from the slight warmth and pressure of another person held close, from the right arm of the leader wrapping around the follower's back, not just as a technical tool, but as a genuine embrace. When it works, when both people have the technique to make it comfortable and the presence to make it real, it is one of the most intimate experiences two strangers can share. The close embrace is also, for those who understand it deeply, a communication system. The chest leads. The follower reads the subtle shifts of weight, the small rotations, the pauses, all of it transmitted directly through that point of contact. When the frame is stable and maintained, the follower always knows where she is. She knows the boundaries of the space she can move in. That clarity makes following easier, not harder. The embrace becomes a container, something that holds and guides rather than restricts. There is a real argument that close embrace demands more honesty from both dancers. When you cannot open the distance, you cannot hide. Every imbalance, every moment of inattention, every loss of axis is immediately felt by your partner. This is uncomfortable when the technique is not there. But when it is, that same transparency becomes the source of the deepest connection. You are not performing for each other. You are simply present with each other inside the music, inside the embrace, for the length of a tanda. Those who love close embrace often point out that the reduction in movement possibilities is not a loss. It is a choice. When you take away the option of big boleos and complex figures, you are left with the walk, the pause, the small turn, the subtle weight change. And inside that simplicity, the details become everything. The quality of each step, the way the music is interpreted through the body, the texture of the connection, all of it becomes visible precisely because there is nothing else competing for attention. Less, in this context, genuinely is more. Open embrace, from this perspective, often trades depth for variety. Yes, it opens up more movement possibilities, but those possibilities can become distractions. The dancer starts thinking about what to do next rather than being fully present with the person in their arms. The embrace becomes a technical starting position rather than the heart of the dance. And the feeling that close embrace dancers are protecting, that rare sense of being truly held and truly seen for 12 minutes, becomes very difficult to find. Open embrace. The history of tango is not quite what most people think it is. In the early days, when tango was taking shape in the neighborhoods of Buenos Aires, close embrace was not the default. Men learned to dance by practicing with other men, sometimes for a year or two before they ever danced with a woman, and those practice sessions happened in open embrace. When they finally did dance with women at milongas, the mothers of those women were watching. Chest to chest, Contact in that social environment was not something that was freely permitted. Tango, in the milongas of the past, knew both kinds of embrace. This matters because the story that close embrace is the pure and original form of tango, and that open embrace is a modern departure from tradition, is not really accurate. It is a narrative that developed later, one that happens to resonate deeply with people who are drawn to tango for its warmth and human contact, and one that has served as very effective marketing. That does not make close embrace wrong, but it does mean that open embrace dancers are not betraying history. They are, in a way, also connected to it. What open embrace actually offers is a word that its defenders return to again and again: freedom. Not freedom from connection, but freedom of expression. When the chest contact is released, even by a single centimeter, the range of what becomes physically possible expands dramatically. Movements that would require uncomfortable rotation of the lower back in close embrace become natural. Timing differences between leader and follower, where one moves a fraction of a second before the other to create space or prepare for a turn, become available. Counter movements, where the two dancers briefly move in opposite directions, become possible. None of these things are decorative. They solve real physical problems and open genuine creative possibilities. The elastic embrace takes this further. Rather than fixing the distance between partners, it allows that distance to breathe. Close when the music calls for closeness. Open when the movement asks for space. The embrace becomes a living thing rather than a locked position. For dancers who work this way, the ability to choose the distance moment by moment is itself a form of musical interpretation. The embrace becomes part of the dance, not just the frame around it. When open embrace is working beautifully, it has its own quality that close embrace cannot quite reach. Because there is more space and more possibility, both partners have to be extraordinarily attentive to each other. Every intention must be communicated clearly. Every response must be read carefully. The attention required is total, and when it is there, the dance feels light and alive and full of discovery in a way that is genuinely different from the warmth of close embrace. Not better or worse, just different. The deeper value that open embrace dancers are protecting is not openness itself. It is choice. The ability to decide in any given moment how close or how far, how simple or how complex, how contained or how expansive the dance should be. A tango that can only be danced one way, at one distance, within one set of possibilities, is a tango that has decided in advance what every conversation will sound like. For dancers who value the elastic embrace, the greatest richness in tango comes not from any fixed position, but from the freedom to move between them, finding the distance that the music and the moment and the partner actually ask for. I hope you enjoyed that chapter of the book, The Black and White of Argentine Tango, Both Sides of Tango's Greatest Debates. You can find the book on Amazon for worldwide delivery. Just type The Black and White of Argentine Tango and allow yourself to dive deep into Argentine Tango's greatest debates.